Welcome to another episode of the BGBI podcast. You joined me, Luke, and my colleague, Oscar.
Wonderful assistant over here.
Beautiful assistant.
Welcome back to another episode, as Luke says. We're really excited to get into this one. This one is a really, really interesting story. Something that, again, we're really going back in time here and digging up some of these stories that we didn't really know about. We know about the car in this one. Car is the main element, I suppose we could say.
You're kind of alluding to the story by saying back in time now.
Maybe. It was completely accidental, I tell you. So yeah, really excited to dig into this one and see where this goes, and interested to get your thoughts and opinions on this, because this is a serious game changer.
Yeah, and it's not one that I've heard before, so we'll see how I feel about it.
Before we get into the gubbins of the episode, should we just talk about what we've been doing this week? Kind of give the listeners, viewers, something they can chime in on with as well for us. So.
What's going on in our lives, what we've seen, what we know about.
Exactly.
If we know anything.
We don't. So the first one I wanted to bring in, and again, these will be filmed way in advance, so these might not be topical, but the debates around it still hold, or our own thoughts and opinions will still hold just the same weight going forward. First one I want to tick off. I'm not a massive F1 fan. I could enjoy it. I could sit down, I could watch the last 3 laps, but I couldn't sit and watch 4 hours of 200 laps. But Lewis Hamilton wins a GP with Ferrari, a GP Grand Prix. So obviously, you know your car terms.
But it was Barcelona, I think, specifically, yeah.
Barcelona Grand Prix, yes. So in the world of racing, that's good. I suppose he's new to Ferrari, isn't he?
Well, you could almost kind of be like, oh, he's coming back. But, I mean, how old is he now?
He's got to be like, 37, nearly 40? He might be 40 even. Yeah. Oh, who knows?
And some of the lads in the F1 grid now are quite young. I mean, a couple that have just stepped up recently.
They're all young.
They're say early 20s, maybe even teens. I mean,
some of them look ridiculously young, don't
they? In F1, you've got to be as light as possible. That's what the game is.
Exactly. It's like a horse jockey, except a car jockey. And then moving on to something else. We don't know a lot about F1, so we'll just bring in the news for now.
I mean, that's good news.
Good news.
Good to hear.
One for the Brits. Another one for the Brits. But something that I've really enjoyed watching myself and listening to throughout all of these years, whether it be background noise or watching it intently, I've watched it maybe 4 or 5 times over.
Wow.
And so I was delighted for another season of Clarkson's Farm, new series 5 that just came out. And I've watched the first 2 episodes by now, and I think they come out weekly, every Wednesday. And wow. I just can't get over how good of a show it is every time. I just think it's fantastic. But Clarkson's age is really starting to show. I mean,
again, how old is he getting now? He's been in TV for probably 50 years now.
A long time.
He started producing quite early on. But yeah, I mean, me personally, I feel like it's a bit, because I don't do too well with sitting in front of a TV and watching it for however long. So, but a series like Clarkson's Farm and Grand Tour and stuff like that, I enjoy. And the episodes that I've watched are quite good. But when it comes to my track record, I've watched nearly all of season 1
of Clarkson's Farm.
And that's it.
That's not nearly enough to appreciate.
Yeah. So I feel like that's something that's on my list to actually watch and get into. But
I feel like you could jump in at any point. Clarkson's Farm is one of those ones where you could jump in on season 5 and you're not missing too much. Give you a catch up. But I think it's fantastic. What a brilliant series. I mean, it's just produced really well.
I was going to say, like, what kind of thing do you like about it?
I love the way it's produced, shot, filmed, the storytelling, the characters. I think everything about it's fantastic. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better series, personally.
Of what I've seen, because series 1, it was quite raw and kind of, like, truthful. And I think that's what people like, and what resonates with people is the fact that you strip it down and it's just about what farming life is like.
It's the hardships.
It's lonely. There's not much money in it. The legislation and stuff like that.
This one delves really deep into the political side of it as well. That was really interesting to watch. Obviously, with the Rachel Reeves budget and the farm taxes they introduced, now have you turned on? But that was really interesting. I really enjoyed it, and I recommend you to watch it. I recommend you, viewers, listeners, to watch it as well. Fantastic series. Last point of contact, World Cup this summer. Again, like, I enjoy football. I much prefer playing it than I do watching it. I can't watch it. I much prefer watching rugby than I
Yeah,
do playing
yeah,
it
yeah.
because we're constantly injured. But um, as recording this, I think believe it was last night. Scotland have won their first World Cup game since 1990,
Mm.
which is
That's big for them. Big
I
for the
thought they'd
Scots.
be a lot better than than since 1990. But
Mm.
yeah, no, that's interesting. And obviously, if we're predicting a winner straight off the bat to win the World Cup, I mean, where are you going? Where's your head at? I know you're not a big football follower, so
Yeah, not really. I mean, I don't really know the kind of abilities of all the different countries, but there's one saying that always comes to mind. It's coming home.
that's a good say.
One year. It's like a broken clock is correct twice in a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time you say it's coming home, you'll be correct.
Yeah,
At some point.
at least one point. It's coming home indefinitely, open ended.
Yeah,
no time.
at some point in the future.
No, I agree. But now let's move on to something more nuanced, something really complex, interesting, just a fantastic story about a really interesting, fantastic person, I would say, personally. It's also important to note anything will be said throughout this will be our own opinions, etc. I do have my fact sheet in front of me as well, so I try and stick to the facts as much as possible. But it's important to anything that's wrong or may come out a bit ski whiff. Most of it is our own opinions. In fact, all of it is our own opinions. So, without further ado, shall we get into
Dark Side of the Road?
Dark Side of the Road. All right. So, first of all, we're calling this one Cocaine and DeLorean's.
Intriguing title.
I think everyone must have heard a little bit about it, but they don't know the full story. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to bring in the full picture, full circle,
right? Yeah.
Everything encompassed into one. So I'll introduce you to the character list first, as we did in episode 1. I just want to walk through the characters, just so you have a little bit of a background understanding, and then we'll get into the meat and two veg of this.
Cool.
Of this. of the main story. So, I'd like to introduce first Mr. John Z. DeLorean.
The boy.
The boy. He was born in Detroit, 1925, and was the son of Romanian and Hungarian immigrants.
Everywhere.
He was dubbed the GM Golden Boy, as he was the youngest division GM head in history.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is crazy stat. He died in 2005, and the crimes that he was alleged was never convicted of.
Okay.
Next, Colin Chapman. He was the founder of Lotus Cars, and he was the legend who was brought in to re-engineer the DMC12, I should say, because obviously we need that clarification. DMC12, which is the famous car, stainless steel, everything. He died of a heart attack in December 1982, weeks after a scandal broke, which we'll dig into further as the stories go.
Tasty.
Very, very tasty indeed. And then next, we have James Timothy Hoffman. He was a convicted drug smuggler, but also an FBI informant. So you can see where it's going. There's some murky waters here. He was a former neighbour of Mr. John DeLorean. So he's got a little connection there.
Yeah.
We'll dive into. We'll get there, don't you worry. Benedict Tisa, who was an FBI agent, and he was a key prosecution witness at trial. And his own phrasings, his own terminology, and the fact that he kept going back on his own opinions and statements led to a collapse of the trial from the prosecution side, so from his side.
Okay.
Christina Ferrari, I don't know how to pronounce that last name, very Italian, not Ferrari.
Not Ferrari.
But close enough link. She was
Right.
DeLorean's third wife,
Okay.
a top fashion model, and she also stuck with him throughout the whole process of the trial, so the build up of DMC, the build up of the DMC12, and then the eventual trial, which will show. Giorgiario. I don't think I'm pronouncing that correctly at all. He was an Italian designer from Ital Design. He designed the DMC12 body, so you could say he was a legend in automotive design, engineering, etc., etc. But also, really interestingly, he did the VW Golf Mark 1 and the BMW M1.
Oh wow!
So he was somewhat of a genius.
Yeah.
In the engineering,
some staple
design space.
cars there that everyone in the world knows, really.
I know, really interesting. Then Des O'Malley, he was the Irish Minister for Industry and Commerce, and he turned DeLorean down flat when he asked to do a production factory in their part of Ireland, and he was shut down flat straight away. It's like no, and luckily this saved Des O'Malley a little bit, as we'll see as well. And finally, big Margaret Thatcher, Maggie T. British Prime Minister during the collapse of DeLorean Empire. Inherited the Belfast investment from Labour, which we'll get into as well. Her government oversaw everything that happened within the DeLorean sphere in Northern Ireland at the time. So let's talk about the car before we dive into the story as well. Just get this. You're very familiar with the DMC12. You've seen it.
Familiar.
Everyone's seen it. It's perhaps the most famous car in history. I can't think of another car that when you think of as famous car, people usually associate it with a film and TV. And I think the DMC12 comes to mind. Do you have any opinions on?
It's definitely up there. I mean, when you think of even like on game franchises, where they have certain DLCs of different cars that are specialty ones, quite commonly it's either, say, Back to the Future, you've got the GTR Skylines and the Supras, but also the DeLorean, which, I mean, completely different to Fast and Furious. It's not like a car franchise, it's just a famous car in a sci-fi film.
A famous car.
So, yeah, very, very well-known car.
It is, yeah, but dive into the specs here, so you might get a more well-rounded view of how your perception changes over it if you hear these specs. So I would say the DMC12 is one of the most uniquely interesting cars visually that I've ever seen in my entire life, if not the most. We see a lot of cars. We watch a lot of car videos, documentaries. We've watched a lot of Top Gear. We've watched a lot of Grand Tour. We've watched a lot of cars.
We know what's
ultimately. But there was a lot of things to go around it. So obviously, as I mentioned, designed by Giorgetto Giugiaro by Ital Design in Italy. Main features of this car: unpainted, brushless, stainless steel exterior. I mean, at the time, revolutionary, right? Polarizing as well, you could say, because some people love it, some people hate it. It's very Marmite.
No, it's something that never really was done before, wasn't it? It's like a big kitchen utensil. It's like a big spoon in your driveway.
Big driveway spoon. Gull-wing doors.
Yep, that's that. Everyone knows about the gull-wing doors.
Defining feature. And then before a single one was built, there was a waiting list, right? People were paying over the asking price already before they were even built for one of these cars.
So there was already a market for them before
they even came out. There was a massive demand because people were just like, well, obviously not going to capture everyone's attention. Everyone has different tastes. That's what makes the world go around. But you want to be on that wait list at the time in the 80s. That was kind of, to go along with your keyboard-based electronic music. That's you want your DMC12.
It's a taste of the future, isn't it?
No, exactly. So it's really, really interesting to see this engine, 2.85 litre PRV V6.
V6.
So you'd think V6, it's got a lot of power.
Performance, right? Yeah. I mean, not quite a supercar, but definitely sporty.
130 horsepower.
130.
That's the same as our cars. Diesel 1.6 Volvo and diesel 1.9 Golf. It was a joint Peugeot and Renault Volvo design engine. So Volvo getting in there.
Oh, nice.
Love your Volvo.
Up the boys.
Up the boys. Performance, 0 to 60 miles an hour in 10 seconds, roughly. So a little bit over. Right. That was on the home test, but the factory claimed 8.8 seconds, which wasn't true to the real world testing that was conducted. So people just didn't, airplane landing strips that are just going.
Oh,
yeah. Gull-wing doors, defining feature. So the price, $25,000 at launch. This is the 80s.
Yeah, I'm going to say back then that would be quite a sum.
Exactly, because the average US car at that point was priced around $9,000 US.
Wow, yeah.
It's a new car. And even then, a 1981 Corvette was $16,300 base. And if you wanted to spec it out, fully optioned, $18,000, right? So you're paying, $7,000 more than a fully spec'd out.
If you think about buying a new car and you think about options, you can either get a fully spec'd out quick Corvette, or chance yourself with a bit of the future, a bit of the
a bit of something polarizing, something really interesting. So the production, 21st of January 1981 to the 24th of December 1982. So very, very short time span. Approximately 9,000 built in total. And the main factory was in Northern Ireland, so Dunmurry, West Belfast, 72-acre former marshland site, which is really interesting. You feel like maybe that's kind of a precursor to what happens on a marshy site. You know, is it all going to go to marshland waste at the end of the day? But there are some key points to mention as well. $25,000 for this car, as we mentioned, for a 10-second 0 to 60 in a recession year. So you're paying over the odds in a terrible financial time for a car that isn't even that quick. Yes, it looks pretty, but it's not quick. Okay. Corvette, around $18,000 that we mentioned, and a lot faster. Porsche 911 SC was only $3,000 more dollars than the DeLorean at the time as well. So I think if we're going down that market, you know, you've got three options. What are you going to pick? Most US consumers probably the Corvette. Us, 911, but maybe even DeLorean now though, because it's so iconic. But at the time,
only now though. But when first coming out, it didn't have the prestige that it's got now.
Exactly, the history, the nuance behind it. But on that as well, the chassis and the handling of the car was actually stated to be really good because it was designed by Lotus at the time. And obviously, you know, Lotus has got a lot of prestige, a lot of history. It was just the engine that let the car down. So, should we move in to the full story?
We shall. Let's get to the juicy parts.
So, Act 1. The Golden Boy. This is Big John.
All right, this is
Big
the boy.
John DeLorean. As we mentioned, born January 6th, 1925 in Detroit, Michigan. Son of Romanian immigrant father and a Hungarian heritage mother, and he grew up in a working class. And this is a quote I'd like to read you from here. He says, "You cannot understand what poverty is until you know how poor we were."
Right.
So that is someone speaking from the heart, someone who was very, very stricken down in poverty. But as we get into it, you know the lifestyle that John will eventually lead is so polar opposite of that.
Almost like a rags to riches story.
It is a rags to riches story. This is a story we love, something we really like to get involved in, something, you know, aspirational. So he made his his breakthrough in engineering. He has a Bachelor of Science in Industrial Engineering from the Lawrence Institute of Technology, and he gained this in 1948. He briefly sold life insurance, but then joined General Motors in 1956. He was in the Pontiac division and was the assistant to the chief engineer, and he was mentored by someone called Semon Bunky, nickname Knudston. Now, moving on to the GM career. This is the kind of golf tee that set him up for that 400-yard drive down the range, straight down the center of the fairway. Something that's, you know, he built his career at GM. This is something that's really, really key and pivotal to his main story. 1961, he was named chief engineer at Pontiac. Later on in 1964, he launched the Pontiac GTO, and this was America's first true muscle car.
Oh, wow, yeah.
1965, he was the youngest division head in GM history, aged just 40 years old.
Wow, yeah.
So that's a meteoric rise to, you know, going through the ranks. So you know, this comes at a time when obviously jobs are probably easier to get through. There's less people competing for this, especially with someone with a degree in 1948 to 1960. That's quite unheard of. Everyone has a degree now. But it's still, to be that age and that seniority,
game,
you've got to be an intelligent person, definitely. 1967, Pontiac Firebird introduced. 1969, he was put in charge of Chevrolet, which is GM's biggest and most important division. As we all know, it's one of the most famous brands of all time, especially in
a lot
US
of cars being sold from
history.
That point in time.
1972, he was named VP of all car and truck production. So that's, you're encompassing everything that's there, big. Right? He was next in line for the presidency of General Motors. Now that is, you know, you think he's got the world on a string. He's got everything in one place, in the palm of his hand. He also had a rock star lifestyle. He was 6'4", had plastic surgery to sharpen his jawline and a chin implant. So you know what it's like to be a tall man. A tall, handsome man.
I don't know what it's like to be a tall man with work done, though.
You know what it's like to be a tall, handsome man. Now, he was a tall, handsome man, and he encompassed this in all of his lifestyle. You know, he brought he brought it all together. He was a
Right.
real rock star at the time. He always had a sharp suit on, long sideburns, the fashion at the time, of course, and he dated models and actresses. It kind of reminds me a lot of John Mayer, 6'4",
Oh, right. Yeah.
handsome chap, dated lots of
On the top of his
models,
game.
actresses, singers. Yeah, exactly. At the time, on top of his game. And although working at General Motors, he didn't drive a General Motors car. He drove a Maserati Ghibli.
I mean, yeah. Maserati at the time was quite a designer, good brand to go with. I mean, things have probably got out now that Maserati's just kind of like a inflated just version of another car now, and they cost a lot to keep on the road. So
I mean, that's the general consensus now. But yeah, no, Maserati Ghibli at the time. But you'd think, come on, surely that's a sackable offence. You've got to be representing your brand wherever you go.
I'm surprised it's not in his contract.
No, you would think that, but then he is such a rock star. You kind of
yeah.
want this guy on side at all times, especially if he's representing your brand. Some interesting facts about his lifestyle as well. He invested in the San Diego Chargers. And then later on, he was written up in magazines, publications, etc., as a literal rock star. People spoke about him like a rock star, someone famous, something you can't fully comprehend. Someone I don't know who to compare this to, but like Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan being written about like a rock star.
So quite well known for having that lifestyle, sort of like a Wolf of Wall Street.
Exactly. You can't imagine someone who, like I said, Jamie Dimon now being written about like he's Mick Jagger or something. So he became increasingly contemptuous of GM later in life, building cheap cars, profitable cars, rather than just producing good ones, which is the direction that he wanted to go.
Similar to the story in episode 1, with
very similar,
pumping out these cheap cars just to keep them cheap, but they actually weren't safe in the end.
Yeah, I know. So, well, at the time, it seems that everyone was just pumping out kind of cheap cars. They were safe to the standards of the time, but are they safe to contemporary standards? We'd say no. So this leads us on to a big point. So going from his discontent, his just general unhappiness of being at the GM, April 1973, he was at the pinnacle of his career.
Right.
On the verge of GM presidency. Now, being on the verge of GM presidency, you think, like I mentioned before, you've got the world on a string.
Yeah.
You've really got something that you can grab by the boss, man.
Well, what's more than that, really?
I know. His total package was worth around $600,000 a year. That's $200,000 base and a $400,000 bonus per year. So he's got loads of money. April 2nd, 1973, he resigned abruptly. Nobody saw it coming. Allegedly.
There we go.
The reason behind this will lead us on to why he eventually built the DMC12. But he wanted to build an ethical sports car, safe, rust-proof, and something that was quite exciting, something unique that GM weren't fulfilling on his end. He also wrote a book about what was wrong with GM, and this book was titled On a Clear Day, You Can See General Motors, published 1979. And this was considered a bombshell account of GM's internal politics.
Oh, wow.
And as you can imagine, that went down like a lead balloon with GM. Which, you write a book like that that's quite divisive. We must say we haven't read it ourselves, but you can only imagine the things he says in the book to make it.
You can only imagine the amount of hatred towards it. There's a lot of people to make unhappy in GM.
There is a lot of powerful people as well. A lot of very powerful
lawyers.
People. So that brings us on to Act 2, the dream, the car. Where was he going to go from here? Where was he going to go from this resignation? 1975, he founded DeLorean Motor Company, DMC, as we know and love it.
He's made
today.
the pivot.
He's made the big swivel. Swivel on this. Big, step out from GM. He got Guiugario to design the car, and the concept initially was absolutely fantastic, as you can imagine, someone with that kind of heritage and prestige. It was low, shaped like a block of Wensleydale, gull wing doors, stainless steel body. And the press were absolutely losing their mind over it before it was even built, just at the concept stage. I mean, can you imagine going into work tomorrow, showing them an engineering drawing and everyone losing their mind? Here is a new engineering I've drawn for an operating machine. And everyone in the world loses their mind. It's not even produced yet and it's there. You'd
But
feel...
people fall in love with images and what things can turn out to be. I guess, like you were explaining earlier, we all know about what a DeLorean looks like, but you look into the internals, what was it,
130 brake horsepower.
you kind of like,
Yeah, 2.85 litre V6. Yeah, no, it's not fantastic, but this is the external. This is what people are going to lap up. This is what it's going to make
everyone falls in love with.
Yeah, this is going to make people place the orders in the first place. So you wanted to find somewhere to build it. Now, where do you go? You want to go somewhere that can supply the jobs, somewhere that's quite stable as a country as well, don't you? You don't want to be just throwing any old hoo-ha, I don't know, in the Mojave Desert, wherever.
Well, with his ties with GM, I'd imagine he'd pitch up somewhere in America.
He does not pitch up in America. He initially approached the Republic of Ireland, Des O'Malley, the Minister for Industry and Commerce, turned him down flat on the spot.
Right. They know what he's like.
They may not know what he's like, but they had other competing priorities at the time. But in retrospect, that would be a great call from Mr. Des O'Malley. Then went to the British government, desperate for investment. But
what does Maggie
where
say?
was he going to pick up a place? It wasn't Maggie at first.
Oh, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. It was the Labour government that initially got him into, and I'll get into that. So the British government in Northern Ireland, during the height of the Troubles, they needed investment in that part of their country. The Labour government of James Callaghan agreed to invest 53 million Great British pounds in 1978, and the deal was done in just 46 days. And as we know, going back to episode 1 of production line quickness, are things that are turned around that quick necessarily good? Is this stable? Is this good?
Yeah, there's always a payoff. There's always a balance.
There's always a balance, and this is where the balance was struck. The apoapsis, the height. So, Northern Ireland, during the peak of the Troubles, 72-acre former marshland site in Dunmurry, West Belfast. At the peak, they hired 1,600 workers. So you can imagine this is doing absolutely fantastic for the Irish economy, bringing in that much work,
being made there,
bringing in a lot of jobs. But does this come with caveats? Yes, of course. Of course it does. And we'll get into those. The total British government investment eventually reached £77 million into the idea, into the factory itself. And the factory aimed to produce 30,000 cars a year, but it never got close.
It fell quite short of that.
It never, ever got close to that. Not even a third of that, which is quite sad to see. So a big Maggie T comes in, Margaret Thatcher, elected in 1979. She was never enthusiastic about this idea, investing so much money into this concept, into this factory, and just helping DMC chug along, set up somewhere. Even though she knows that politically it was the right move to do in the previous government, because they're bringing some economic stimulation to Northern Ireland, into Belfast. And, you know, for the workers in the community, this was massive. This was significant. This made a lot of jobs in the poorest, impoverished areas of Belfast. So now that brings us on to Act 3. This is the important part. This is where the cracks start to show. This begins with the first cars off the line. January 21st, 1981, nearly 2 years late.
Right.
Quality control inconsistencies from the start. Cars needed expensive fixes before delivery. But going back to episode 1, at least they did these fixes in the factory before they were chucked out. Engine, again, 130 horsepower in a recession year for 25 grand. You're not looking at good ROI for that at all, really, are you? Yeah. But again, end of 1981, 7,500 cars made, 3,000 sold. The rest of them were piling up in Belfast and fast.
Also had a backlog, so
They had a backlog, and they were just sat there piling
Yeah.
up, waiting. The company was absolutely hemorrhaging money,
Mm.
bleeding out the arse, losing a lot of cash ola. And that brings the money problem to another side as well. So this is called GPD services. And this goes back, just to take it back 3 years, 1978. DeLorean struck a deal with Colin Chapman, the founder of Lotus, to re-engineer the DMC12. Chapman, as we described, is an engineering genius.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people call him. That's what he's been called in history, and that's what will go down. And he's one of the most respected figures in motorsport. There was a deal structured through a Panama-registered, Geneva-based company called GPD Services. In total, so this is from the government investments coming through, in total, $17.65 million flowed through into GPD as a development budget for the car. DeLorean wrote Chapman a check for half of that up front.
Right.
So that money is going, squirreled away.
Yeah.
It's gone. They have it. It's there. It's the government funding, whatever's come from the public is going into there. Almost none of it actually went to developing the car.
Oh, wow.
That's a really interesting fact.
Yeah.
So this is really setting the scene for, how do money troubles start? How do you get in trouble with the law in the first place? Once the company entered receivership, receivers spotted the hole in the accounts, the big funnel, the drain, where it's going through, where all the money's going, and they see half the check being written to Mr. Chapman himself. Investigators concluded that DeLorean and Chapman had secretly controlled GPD themselves, which will lead us onto this part as well. 1984, the House of Commons Public Accounts Committee labelled this one of the gravest cases of misuse of public resources, a shocking misappropriation of public and private money, and I'm paraphrasing there. But it just goes to show the gravity of the situation at the time and how negatively this will impact DeLorean in the press, how it could impact the DMC12 production, etc., and how he's just viewed as a person in general. Colin Chapman, as I mentioned before, he died of a heart attack. Introduction when I was introducing the characters.
Suspiciously.
Died of a heart attack in December 1982, just weeks after the scandal broke. That kind of publicity can do that to someone. The amount of immense stress you'd be under, especially from when you're under governmental stress as well, government piling on, press, media, the general public, when you're under that much stress. And he took a lot of the answers to the grave with him and he was never prosecuted.
Right.
So, back to 1981. Go through the timeline of the collapse. 1981 to 1982. February 1982. The factory enters receivership. DMC is 175 million USD in debt. That is a hefty sum.
That's a big hole.
DeLorean reportedly holds press conferences at Claridge's in London and tells New York Times he's delighted, quote unquote, and then catches a Concorde back to New York.
Good old Concorde.
Good old Concorde. I mean, that's something as petrol heads we really wish we had the chance to fly on to use. But
that thing weren't cheap.
I think it was not cheap at all. But Mr. DeLorean here finds the cash to go and bump the jet. May 1982, production stops. October 1982, the factory closes and 1,600 workers approximately lose their job.
Oh, right.
So the stimulation to the economy is gone. The factory
those benefits have then ran out, really.
Dead as a doornail. Then October 19th, 1982, DeLorean arrested in Los Angeles hotel room. And I'll bring that on. I'll bring the precursor to that in right now, because this is where it gets interesting. This is where the cocaine comes into. This is the part that's quite disturbing, as a matter of fact, as well, and shows you just how fickle some human beings can be and how you can't necessarily trust everyone.
Right.
And I'll get into this.
We're going somewhere with this. Act
4, the hotel room. James Timothy Hoffman, who I mentioned earlier, DeLorean's neighbour, very briefly. He's an FBI informant, convicted drug smuggler, but he was also a known perjurer. You know what a perjurer is? Familiar with the term perjurer?
No.
So that is lying in court.
Okay.
So he was known to be not an all-round great fella,
right?
to put it politely. He was cooperating with the FBI to reduce his own sentence and try and capture stings, get stings out there to bring in other criminals. In 1982, he became aware of DeLorean's financial crisis because it was reported so widely in the press across the globe. You know, as the superstar that he was, the rock star that he was at the time, he's bound to get this media attention. Approached his FBI handlers with a proposition. Let me approach DeLorean and I'll see if he bites. Let me try and convince him to do something unlawful and see if we can bring him in. Let's set this sting operation together.
Yeah.
The FBI's internal memo describing the plan called it an appealing scenario, quote unquote. Allegedly.
It's an attempt to sting him then, that's what's going on.
It is. Hoffman and DeLorean were former neighbours, but they barely knew each other. As I say, they were a very brief moment in time where they were crossing paths. But this is where it gets meaty. Hoffman called DeLorean and gradually steered the conversation towards narcotics financing. Now, you know he's in a lot of financial troubles, and you want to bring in something that can, you know, omit all those troubles quickly. What's the best way to do it? This is not advice. That is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Allegedly. So DeLorean had a deadline at this point in time as well. He needed to raise $20 million or the factory was finished, and he was desperate.
That's a big operation.
Massive operation. He was desperate. He really needed this to fund his dream. You know, he's gone from almost GM president to starting his own company to fulfill his dream. What does he need to fulfill that dream? $20 million.
Yeah.
And how's he going to get that? We don't know. The money's hemorrhaging out. So the Hoffman dilemma, this is where he comes in with a proposition. October 19th, 1982. Hoffman arranges to meet Mr. DeLorean at a motel room 501 at the Sheraton Plaza La Rihanna Hotel near Los Angeles International Airport.
Right.
DeLorean flies into Los Angeles from New York, room 501. The room is tapped head to toe, wires, microphones, videos. They've got everything in there. You can see, hear everything. And this is where Hoffman goes, you know what, let's see if Mr. DeLorean will bite at all. There was a suitcase placed on the table. It was opened. Around 25 kilograms of cocaine. Approximately $6.5 million worth. Roughly. And the deal, this is where it gets interesting. Hoffman proposes that DeLorean should help finance the import of 220 pounds of cocaine with a street value of $24 million. In return, he gets the funds needed to save his accounts, his company, his factory. On camera, in the room, beaming down onto Mr. DeLorean, and this is a very, very famous quote in the car world, in the smuggling world. He examined the cocaine. He looked at it. Took a moment. It's better than gold, quote unquote. That is what he said. Better than gold. God, do you get better than gold? It was cocaine. Yeah. He raised a glass of champagne. He toasted. Here's to a lot of success for everybody. And then, door comes down. FBI enters.
Yeah.
There he is, champagne in hand. Smile. Gone. So this is where the fallout begins. He's initially charged with 8 felony counts and the bail set at $5 million. If he were to be convicted on all accounts, he would face 67 years in federal prison.
Right.
So a severe sentence. The arrest made international headlines. Again, his rockstar fame never escapes him. This is him now. He is Mr. DeLorean, DMC12 and GMC rockstar. This was a gut punch. He was arrested on the same day that the Belfast factory was being shut down as well.
All right.
So you've got two massive factors in his life happening on the same day, and being under that amount of stress, gosh.
Yeah.
Could you even imagine?
That's just a cliff edge. It's over.
That is it.
All at once.
That's the be all and end all. 1 week later, the company filed for bankruptcy. Act 5, The Reckoning. Now this is where you could say justice is served.
Right.
and the right people were made accountable for their actions at this point in time. So the trial opened on April the 18th, 1984 in Los Angeles Federal Court. It was a 62-day trial and fell apart for the prosecution almost immediately. Now, we'll get into this, and I mentioned at the start that there were some interesting people that made it very difficult for the prosecution to get their case across effectively. So, the prosecution unravels. There's a lot of holes in their story. The FBI agent, Benedict Teaser, was on the stand for 11 days, and he kept changing his testimony throughout the trial, quoting, "I misspoke," or "I was in error." So he's changing his story consistently throughout this trial. So the jury, the judge, are going to be like, "Hang on, wasn't he he doing this? Wasn't he doing this?" So it seems like they're kind of setting up DeLorean for failure initially, but then it comes to the trial,
You're almost like
and they're losing
a
the plot.
mistrial and not letting it go forward.
They're losing the plot. A senior Department of Justice official was caught berating Mr. Benedict Teaser about his testimony, and every reporter in the building heard him. So you're sat there, you're on the stand, you're messing up the whole case for your own side, and then on top of that, you're getting publicly scolded by a senior official. Hoffman was a prosecution star witness. He was on the stand for a week, late May until June 1984. So he was obviously a previously convicted drug smuggler and admitted perjurer, as you now know the definition for. So that obviously he conceded lying under oath previously. The judge, Takasugi, called him a hired gun, in terms of it was like he was hired as a hitman to try and take down Mr. DeLorean.
Yeah.
It also revealed that he demanded a share of any money seized in the case. So on top of, trying to underhook Mr. DeLorean, he was trying to gain monetary value from this as well. But there was also something fundamental missing from the prosecution side. So you've got Mr. Benedict Teaser, who misspoke on the stand. You've got Hoffman, prosecution star witness, who was admitted perjurer, convicted felon, etc., etc. And his credibility is, at that point, there's no point you even taking the stand. This is where it gets interesting as well, and this is where it falls apart even further for the prosecution. There was a 47-minute gap in the audio recordings. This was discovered during the trial.
Yeah.
And a lot of the FBI notes had been destroyed. And this is where the defense comes in, and this is where the defense tears them a new one. So Mr. DeLorean's side, how do you come in? How do you plead? How do you fight this case? Defense lawyer Howard Weitzman, one of California's top litigators at the time, he played the full tapes. So that 47-minute gap, he played the full rendition. This showed DeLorean repeatedly throughout the motel meeting, hesitation. The better than gold line, it was said, but it was isolated, and the prosecution had shown the jury a trailer of what happened, not the full picture.
Right.
They were spinning a story to suit their own narrative effectively by clipping up, what we do for YouTube, clipping up the best parts and sending them out. Compilation of John DeLorean's best bits. 2020.
Well, you see a lot of that in mainstream media and stuff like that. I mean,
exactly.
BBC headlines, you see a lot of chopping up and stuff like that.
You do see a lot of chopping and changing,
It's quite a common way to go about things.
Exactly, and that's where it got really interesting.
Yeah.
And so you go from this lack of credibility on the prosecutor's side to also them trying to spin their own story, which this is all in the benefit of Mr. DeLorean here, because obviously, as we know, this doesn't end well for the prosecution side. One witness was called to the stand for DeLorean, his secretary. Her call log proved that Hoffman made the first contact with Mr. DeLorean. So that proves that they were trying to hook him on, hook, line and sinker, and bring him down from their own end before he'd even committed a crime, before he'd even thought about committing a crime. Mr. DeLorean never had to take the stand. He just didn't have to, because the prosecution side fell apart so quickly. The wheels fell off the trolley, as I said in episode 1. This comes to the verdict. August 16th, 1984. The jury acquitted DeLorean on all charges, stating entrapment, which is very, very fair, I think, in my personal opinion. After 29 hours of deliberation, not guilty on every single account. The FBI had effectively created a crime that would not have otherwise occurred if they hadn't entrapped him in the first instance. And throughout this whole time, DeLorean's wife, Christina, stood by him the whole time, even though a year later their marriage would end. The aftermath. So where does this leave DeLorean? The company is gone, the factory scrapped, all the financial resources are fully drained from the DMC and DMC12 project. The fraud charges, as I spoke about earlier, the GPD, the embezzling money, they dragged on, but he was acquitted on all of those too in December 1986, so they were dropped. But this doesn't stop the financial woes for Mr. DeLorean. He was declared personally bankrupt in 1999 and sold off a 434-acre Bedminster estate. You never guess who this is bought by.
Could be anyone.
Bought by Mr. Donald J. Trump.
Yeah.
And this is now the Trump National Golf Club, Bedminster.
Oh, wow, yeah.
He spent his final years trying to relaunch DMC through watches and sunglasses. And we love a watch. Obviously, we're both very much a watch enthusiast. Have you ever heard of a DMC watch?
I haven't. I actually haven't.
No, neither have I.
Yeah.
This is something that I didn't even know about now. And eventually we come to his death, March 19th, 2005, aged 80 in Summit, New Jersey. He sadly passed away. He was never convicted of any crime. None of that just came back to sting him. And it's quite a sad story, in effect, really. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel. We move to the final act, act number 6, the legacy.
Yeah.
Now, this is the part I would say we are all most familiar with. 1985, 3 years after the factory closed, Back to the Future was released. And this is quite interesting and something that I never knew until researching this episode. So, in the early script drafts by Zemeckis and Bob Gale, the writers for Back to the Future, the time machine was a stationary, quote-unquote, time chamber, and it's basically like a fridge.
Hot tub time machine.
Hot tub time machine, but fridge time machine. Zemeckis had the idea to make it mobile and build it into a DeLorean. This is the immortalization. Spielberg, the executive producer at the time, backed ditching the fridge. They were worried about kids going into the fridges and trying it out and just suffocating to death in the fridge.
Not stealing their parents' cars and going 88 miles an hour.
Exactly. 88 miles an hour down a village road, I don't know, whatever you have in America. And they stated that the gull wing doors sealed it because it looked so futuristic, something that was really clever and not something you see a lot of the time. And that leads us to DMC12 being cemented as probably the most famous cinematic car in history and one of the most famous cars in the history of the world. But obviously this is back in 1985. DeLorean never saw a penny of it. He never got any royalties, etc., because they'd stricken no deal. And the cars were purchased from existing stock. So they bought the car just outright from Northern Ireland and come over and make it into the film. But this is where it gets nice. This is where it comes full circle, and this proves that at heart, in my interpretation of it, that DeLorean was just a good guy. Didn't write a letter demanding anything from the film. He actually wrote a letter to the filmmakers to thank them for immortalising the car. Now, did you know that? That's
well, to be fair, if you think of the morals about it, really, it's the immortalisation of your art is a lot more important than the monetary value, really. But
some people argue the toss, but
I mean, him especially, you'd assume that he'd like a bit of cashola from that.
Yeah,
but
no, you would assume.
It's surprising, to be fair.
Exactly, but this leads us on to where we are today. The legacy still, and it continues, does it not? 6,500 of the 9,000 cars built are still on the road today.
Wow. So going back to 1980, the 80s.
Yeah.
And there's still 2/3.
Yeah, 1982 would be the final production. 24th of December 1982 would be the final production, and they're still on the road.
And that's nearly half a century.
Yeah.
Yeah. 40, 50
and
years.
they're over 2/3 are on the road, which is insane.
Wow,
And they're probably
that's
all well kept.
yeah.
But also, it's interesting to note that the owners nowadays will be paying anywhere from, this is in GBP, £40,000 to £70,000 plus for a good one. So if you have something that's like ultimate condition, as you know, from any collector, from anything, these ones that are super clean, super well kept, garaged, etc., you know, you're paying over £70,000 easily for one of those, which is really, really interesting fact. But also, I have seen someone just in a standard suburban English home, 3-bed semi with a garage, pull out a DeLorean out of there that's mint condition as well. So it is kind of interesting to see as well.
Yeah.
But that brings a close on the DeLorean story. Firstly, let's just get your story reflections. What's your take on the whole story? How do you feel about it?
I mean, like you said, it's a sad story, isn't it? Because he's built up his career. He's been ahead of his game. He's the youngest of every single step of the way that he's been at GM, and he, at that point, at the top of his game, makes the decision. It's a risk at the end of the day. He makes the gamble, moves on to his own project, and that project falls through the floor quite quickly.
Yeah, which is really sad.
But then you could argue how much of it was his fault and how much of it was out of his hands. Because if I had a failing business, I wouldn't start embezzling all the money and sending it elsewhere and
cutting checks to your partner for half the amount.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. But it is quite sad, as you say, as well, because ultimately it seems like he was a decent bloke. He was someone that was genuinely in it for the love of the cars, and as enthusiasts we really appreciate someone who's just in it for the love of the cars and not for the money, like Ferrari Luce.
Yeah. But I mean, you're not going to have a perfectly good egg, are you?
No,
especially at that kind of point in their career and what kind of things they're getting up to. I mean, like you say, it's things go in the direction of him just being a human being, really, more than anything. Which is rare to see.
It is very rare to see in current business climates. That's definitely true. But also, as we do in every episode, we need to bring in some debate points just to kind of, test our knowledge on it and see, could we argue for another side of the story? So the first one I wanted to bring in is, obviously anything we say in this debate is completely our own opinions, own personal beliefs, etc. And we're making these just assumptions. I guess you could say. So, do you believe Mr. John DeLorean was entrapped, or did he walk into that room knowing what he was doing?
Well, I'd go on the side of being trapped, really. It's almost like like you say, the whole thing was set up, really, for him to walk into, and they knew what they were doing. They knew the process. They had the whole room covered, top to bottom. And these things, I mean, like you say, if this opportunity wasn't to be sprung on him, he might have not gone down that path, and then he wouldn't have committed a crime. So only until someone's brought it to the forefront and trapped him and have videos and audio files of him showing it, he kind of shows that he'd be willing to do that crime. So I think he was trapped.
I believe, I completely agree with that opinion as well. Now, another debate point we kind of want to touch upon as well is something to do with General Motors themselves and their relationship with Mr. DeLorean. So they arguably let their best executive walk out the door, right? Did they deserve to lose him?
Did they deserve to lose him?
Yeah, from the GM perspective.
Well, like we said before, he's on top of his game, and he was on top of his game from quite early. So it was a good person there, and he was a decent human being. I wouldn't say they deserved to lose him, because at the end of the day, he was GM didn't really do anything bad of themselves.
No, exactly.
So...
But on the same token, and I'll argue the flip side purely to play devil's advocate.
Right.
Did they deserve to lose him? Let's say devil's advocate position completely. Let's try and lean into the debate, the spirit of debate here. Yes. Why yes, you may ask? That's a great question, Luke. I think he was a brilliant mind, and I think they could have gone very far if they'd taken the direction he wanted. So I think they lost out on a good mind. And did they deserve to lose him? I know I said I'd play yes, and I'll lean into devil's advocate here, but I'm finding it I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to find a debate point. Did they deserve to lose him? Yes. Why not?
just to play that card.
No, I think they deserve to lose him purely because his own instincts. He wanted to do something properly, and they weren't going in the direction. The question's kind of framed in a way to say that he was a loss. It's kind of the question's framed in a way to say, oh, he was going to take complete control and renew the direction and make something really special, isn't it? That's kind of what it's aiming at.
So he could have the power to go on and change the course of direction for GM for a long while.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like maybe they didn't deserve him. I think maybe that's a better way to frame it. I think maybe I would say they didn't deserve him at that point. But no, it's a really intriguing debate topic, and we're really interested to see what the viewers, listeners can add to that upon reflection in there as well. Another massive point that we spoke about with the government funding so much money into the initial investment and startup, right? So the British taxpayer lost roughly £77 million. Who's responsible, would you say? DeLorean's mismanagement, Chapman's fraud, or politicians who threw the money at the vanity project?
Well, it's a bit of all of it, isn't it? Because you've got, when they'd be chucking, from a government standpoint, chucking money into these things, into investment opportunities for the economy, because, like we say, it creates jobs, and that's always good. But surely there'd be a vetting process of where would this money go and what would it go towards, and
how probable is it to be successful, etc., etc.
And kind of having proof of those concepts. But also at the same time, we know where the money was going, don't we?
Yeah,
half the money was going elsewhere. So
of the 12.5 million, I believe there was,
and that could easily be avoided. So
I agree. I think if you were to pin just one person who's responsible for the lost £77 million, who would you have to pin it on?
Well, I'd have to pin it on the boy himself.
Would you?
The man in charge, because at the end of the day, he's the one making the decisions and allowing things to happen. I think if he was in a position to stop those behaviours, it wouldn't be happening.
No.
Even if he wasn't doing it himself. So
that's a good point. I don't think I have anything. I think you covered all the bases on that point. I mean, I would go stretch a little bit further and maybe say it was a split between all of them. I think the government should have held a longer process on the viability of the product and the project and how long they could actually continue doing it, especially given the conditions of like a marshland in Northern Ireland. There's already a lot of political disruption.
Or timing as well.
Yeah, it's bad timing. I mean, it's all of them coming together. I would say it's ultimately responsible for the loss of the 77 million of taxpayers' money. One of the biggest questions you can ask as a whole, and one of the biggest debates that will surround it, is: do you believe the DMC12 was actually any good?
Overall, brilliant car. Just because, and I think it's all down to the Italian designer. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, but the Italian designer that constructed such a beautiful exterior to the car, and it's an exterior that everyone knows. That's partly because of the pop culture around Back to the Future and stuff like that. But it was only in Back to the Future because it was designed that way. That's why it got picked for that role. So you could delve deeper into it and go, the engine was pretty pointless.
Yeah.
It wasn't. No one was buying it for the performance it had or the fuel economy, I reckon.
Purely aesthetics.
Yeah. So
you go as far to say as extraordinary design, but the engine let it down.
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah. But you see that a lot in the car world. You see Alfa Romeos, Maseratis, as we covered earlier. Beautiful cars, and people love them, but they are not perfect.
It's like they're cars done by artists,
Right, yeah.
but also engineered by artists.
Yeah. And then sometimes they conflict.
Opposed to, having a car that's solely engineered. Well, it feels like you've got sort of two separate components in a way, haven't you? You've got artists designed and artists engineered, then you've got artists designed, engineered, and then engineered design and engineered.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of sides of the same coin. But no, I agree. I think it was a fantastic car. I think it really transformed cars. It may not necessarily have shifted the direction that they were going. I don't think everyone kind of conformed to stainless steel cars.
I was going to say, no
in a
one's
weird
making
shape.
stainless steel brush cars.
But it certainly shook up the car scene. Nobody had ever done that. And that's what's incredible about the car. And this brings me to my final debate kind of point, kind of question I just want to throw out there. And this is quite a poignant one, right? And it'll make you scratch it. It may make you think. It'll make you think, okay? If Back to the Future had never happened, would anybody remember the DeLorean today?
I'm going to go bold and say I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go opposite of your...
Really? You think it'd still be a spectacle?
I think it'd still be a spectacle purely because if we just go back to that previous question we just answered, it was the first of its kind. Nobody else made a car look like that. It kind of shifted everyone's attention away. And I think it'd still be remembered. It would be remembered, definitely. And I reckon people like us who weren't of that generation would still remember it. But in the same breath, I don't think it would be as popular as it is currently because you've got people that continue to watch the films. But I think people would still remember it. And I think parents would talk about it. I think grandparents would talk about it.
Right, yeah.
I'm interested to hear what you say. I'm interested to see your reasoning behind why it would be.
I get what you say, but I mean, I think I'm more of the opinion of the fact that it really took off when the film. I mean, as we did say, a lot of them did get sold, and there was a waiting list for people to buy these cars. So there was a big market for it, but time will take a toll on that kind of thing. If you think back to cars from the 80s, and I mean, people remember cars that
Pontiac, Firebird.
Well, yeah, they're like very prestigious ones like that, but they're not like you hear the name and you go, oh yeah, I remember that car, but you wouldn't think like you wouldn't see the car and go, that's Pontiac Firebird or whatever.
Yeah,
more so, and especially people that aren't into cars. People that are into cars, they know everything. But no, I think it did a lot of the work. The film did. And if there was no film, then I definitely don't think that we'd be talking about it right now because it wouldn't really be a car that people really know.
I think,
especially the longer you go, I think new generations and stuff like that will be forgotten.
Just to kind of counter that final point, as we wouldn't be talking about today, I think we would. Let's say, obviously, we take this podcast format, for example, where we're looking at the stories of a car. Act 6 in my research was to do with just a film. Acts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
True.
All to do with the rise.
There's still a big story to it.
There's a massive story behind it, and I think that's what makes it really interesting as well. And obviously, Back to the Future didn't happen until 3 years after all of that concluded.
Yeah.
So I think with the stories in the press, and even with Mr. DeLorean himself being that major rock star figure, 6'4", jawline surgery, chin implant, kind of Giga Chad,
big dog.
Yeah, he's like, he was this figure. He was so enormous. I don't think we can comprehend a boring CEO being like that today, can we? Because everything's all about money. But no, I suppose that's a really interesting debate, and I mean, shared some fantastic opinions there, in my opinion. But that concludes this episode.
It does, yeah. What a story. I mean, it's one that you kind of hear things about, but the whole story is much bigger, and you can imagine. I mean,
So nuanced.
and you see the car, you don't know that those stories are behind. I mean, there could be that kind of story behind a load of other cars, but I mean, we might cover those
We'll dig
future
into this.
episodes.
We'll definitely dig into
We'll dig
this.
for them. So yeah, good story, and I think that about wraps up that part. And if you've been watching this far, thank you for watching. It means a great deal to us. If you could check out our socials, we've got a few socials dotted around. So yeah, if you're not into drinking, then nice to have you here, and we'll see you next time. But if you are into drinking, don't you worry, we've got something in store for you now.
We got something very tasty, very, very tasty. I am personally very excited to try this. I've never had this before. But as Luke said, we'll see you guys in the next episode for those non-drinkers.
Lovely.
Right.
See you then. You join us once again with a little beer review. This time, we've got the Modelo. Modelo.
I don't know how to actually pronounce it. I'm just
From Mexico, I think. You said that you've never had it before.
I've never had one before, but I've always been so keen to try one. They sponsor the UFC as well, don't they? I believe.
Do they? I did not know that. It's a Pilsner type beer, it says. So legally they can't call it a Pilsner. It must be.
Right.
It's a Pilsner type.
What's the requirements around a Pilsner?
I don't know.
Is
I
it
don't know if
just-
it's like how people judge it, or
Is it a
it's in the
specific
ingredients?
location? Is it like how champagne can only come from Champagne and Pilsner can only come from Pilsenberg?
Pilsenshire.
Pilsane?
Yeah, I'm
don't
not
know.
sure. I mean, we're still going on the track record of quite dense beers. This one's a 4.5 again.
Is it?
We're still over the 4% mark.
God, when does it get sessionable?
Well, there's got to be some session lagers coming up soon, surely.
I hope so. For the sake of our stomach. Okay.
So yeah,
This looks like a champagne bottle as well. Like
it's a beautiful construction.
that is fantastic. Does it get better? Bowl design is 10. For me personally, I think that's fantastic.
and the colour of it is just well pronounced.
yeah.
What a beauty. You almost-
Dehydrated urine.
You almost just want to put it there.
Just leave it. That's it. Beer review done. We'll just have this sitting here for now. How do you open this, Luke? I'll let you. You seem to know your way around a Modelo.
I have to take that as an insult or what?
Take that as a compliment. I'm not quite on the leagues that can utilize a Modelo.
Well, let's see what kind of sound this thing makes. Oh, she's not an eager one.
She's not keen. That does look like a ruptured champagne bottle.
Yeah. Should have stuck my finger in and done like a little fizz.
Looks like you've just done a saber.
Smells nice.
Does it?
Smells nice.
God. The shimmer. I don't know if the camera caught it. The shimmer in his eyes. God, that smells like a proper beer.
Right, if you want to do the pour,
Are you sure?
I'll give
Would
you the
like me
honours
to do
this
the
time.
pour? Pepsi bottle? Coca-Cola glass?
That's the point. We're going into cobras. Cobra.
Don't worry, I won't have too much of it for Sam. For me, Sam. I'll do Luke's as well. It's alright, mate, it's coming.
Eager. I need it.
It's making me mouth water.
After that wonderful story earlier.
Oh, sorry, mate, I gave you a bit too much head.
I like it.
We'll just let it die down. We'll just have a little catch up.
So
That is a fantastic beer. I mean, seriously, I don't know, obviously, how many people are watching this have ever tried a Modelo, but that
I
looks
think it's
fantastic.
the most common one we've had yet.
is it.
I think so. Because you go to quite a few venues and they've got them in the fridges.
Really?
Yeah.
Just
I've
like
seen it quite
standard
often.
pubs, bars, or like
Supermarkets, yeah.
supermarkets. I haven't seen. I genuinely have never seen it before. That's why I was super surprised when we got this today, because Me and Luke had no idea what beer we were
Yeah.
getting today. This was
Yeah.
completely surprise beer that was bought for us. We are of legal drinking age, of course.
Who's IDing us at this point?
Yeah, I know exactly. But we wanted someone to go out and surprise us with a beer for the episode. And a Modelo.
This was the choice.
Modelo is
Yeah.
what came back. I'm really excited to dig in though.
Yeah. Let's go for it.
I mean, if you're happy with
this
the head
this
on
isn't
there,
moving, I don't think so.
no budge. Cheers on this. Whoa.
Oh,
big
nearly.
nasty.
You caught me.
Remember, drink responsibly as well.
Wow, that's nice.
Damn.
This one's strong.
That one's definitely pretty speechless. As far as beer goes, I mean, there's only 2 times where I've been left speechless by beers. This is one of them, and it's because I was completely unexpected. I was quite surprised with getting a Modelo, and then also the flavour profile. But also when we had the Guinness Factory tour, I don't know how many viewers have been on the Guinness Factory tour before, but they give you a sample and they tell you how to properly taste a beer, don't they? Like the way you hold it on your tongue for 5 seconds,
Breathe out.
breathe
and
out
then
as you
swallow.
breathe out as you swallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of releases that flavour profile, and that's what we're trying to encapsulate with all of these beers. But yeah, that's 2 times that I've been left truly speechless, and that was the Guinness Factory.
Yeah, and you're right. Until we did that, you feel like you've been drinking wrong your whole life.
I know, yeah, it really changes your perspective.
I think
That's fantastic, though. Holy shit.
we recommend the Guinness tour actually. Nice to see what the factory's like, and I mean, you get a quote unquote free Guinness at the end. Well, because you pay for a ticket, it's not really free.
20 quid, 25 quid, whatever it was for a ticket. That's fantastic. When are they going to release a Modelo factory tour? I'd be quite inclined to go on that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Does it have brewing information on here then? Does it have where it was brewed? Brewed in the UK,
Boring.
AB InBev UK Limited. That's the same as the beer we had in the previous episode.
Right, yeah.
Same company. So are they all?
I think in the old beverage company, there's a lot of I would say monopolization.
It's like an Amazon. AB InBev is
Yeah.
Amazon.
There's a lot of big dog kind of situations going on with because they're all battling for shelf space at the end of the day.
And if you own every brand, then you don't have to compete.
The old PepsiCo. I need a bit of a top.
Feel free. God, what a fantastic beer. Quite interesting to get a Cobra on one of these episodes as well.
Yeah.
Got the glasses for
Because
it.
to be fair, I mean, it's not one that I have often.
A Cobra, no. It's only when you go for a sit-down curry meal.
Go,
I've had
go
it
for a
in the UK.
takeaway, yeah.
Mm. That is fantastic, though. I could see myself sitting here drinking a lot of them.
Well, is that just because you're getting older?
I'm 22. I'm not old.
I guess it depends. It's what you compare it to.
I like how instead of using your hands, then you use your feet to sing about. I hope the camera picks that up.
Articulate what I was going with there.
Yeah, there's a little physical language going on there.
So, rating time. What do we think?
I think that's a fantastic bit. I think that's going to take some beating. It's definitely, I would say, going to be above the last 2 episodes.
Really, yeah.
We've only got a small pool to compare it to at the moment. So first episode we went for the Cora 7.25. Second episode we went for the Mahu 7.5. And then, this one. Oh, Modelo, you're doing it to me. What are you doing to me? I think I'm going to have to give this.
Oh, is it taking the top spot?
8.5.
Wow, 8.5. So there's not much room above that. 1.5.
1.5 to top spot, but I think that's an
Top spot.
8.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go similar because it's the best one we've had yet. This is the Top Gear slapping the top of the lap times. This is a new top score.
I think, as I know I said it left me speechless, obviously, and people will be expecting me to put it at 10 because of that, but I think for a 10, it's got to be absolutely outstanding. I've got to get up out of this chair for a 10.
Yeah. Take all your clothes off. Just start
Yeah,
going
just
mental.
start running around, flipping them with my head. But no, this is so there. Like it's absolutely fantastic. But
Yeah. I mean, me personally, it has taken the top spot. I'd say it's an 8 instead of an 8.5.
so average out 8.25 for that one.
Yeah,
And I
8.25.
think that's pretty fair average.
So yeah, brilliant. We haven't had one that's missed the mark yet. We're gonna have an episode where we get one in, we think so highly about it, and it's gonna crush our dream.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it's not a can of Guinness that tastes awful on the day.
Oh yeah, but it's out of date.
I'd be very disappointed. I'd be upset. I'd be verging on tears, I think, if that was the case. Damn, great beer though.
Yeah.
Well, brings us time to wrap up
That's everything.
this episode. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Again, if you like this episode, check out previous episodes. Stay tuned for the coming episodes. I mean, we've got a lot coming, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've got so much in the bank. So many stories we want to tell and share with you guys, enjoy debate together. We have loads of social medias as well. Check us out on everything that's linked in the description, Instagram, YouTube, all the podcasting services, Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Yeah.
Not very active on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
But we'll plug it anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for watching.
And we'll have to see you next time.
See you soon.